This is Paula Williams with ABCI, and we are looking for one flight school at your airport to work with. And why are we only looking for one? Wouldn't we rather work with all of them? The answer to that is that we are a marketing company that has a very powerful system, and in that system, we would end up competing with ourselves for students in the local market if we worked with more than one flight school at your airport. And that's why we have delivered this package to all of the flight schools in your area. And we want you to make the decision. If it sounds like we are the best fit for you, we want you to contact us, and we want to be the ones, we want you to be the ones that we select to work with. So we're glad you're taking a few minutes to review this video. We know you're very busy, so we'll make a really good use of your time. I'm going to be telling you a story about two flight schools. They have very different business models from each other, and giving you some examples of things that work and don't work in the flight school industry. Now, why is sales so hard? It stands to reason that if you have the best product at, at the best price, that all you have to do is let people know about it and you'll get sales. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way in the real world. And the reason is because we are bombarded with so many ads that we simply ignore them. A lot of people that may be interested in your flight school don't even hear your ad on the radio or don't even see it in a magazine because they flip right past your ads. People are busy, they forget what they've seen or read unless it's repeated, so even if they saw or heard your ad, they will forget about it 15 minutes later when something else captures their attention. There's a ton of competition for our time, attention, and money, so it takes repeated contacts over a long period of time to really build that determination in somebody's mind that this is something they want to pursue. Let's talk a little bit about your competition. We started this program talking about the other flight schools on the field, but you're also competing, if you are training career-minded pilots, with universities, trade schools, and other institutions of higher learning in your community. You are competing against entry-level jobs. A lot of these young people are under a lot of pressure to get a job rather than rack up what they see as unproductive debt. You're also competing against the military. A lot of these folks have been approached by military recruiters. They're after the same demographics that you're after. And if you have a son or daughter that has been in contact with a military recruiter, you know they have a very systematic and very aggressive marketing system. And you really have to admire them for that. But, that's who you're up against. Now, if you are in the market for recreational pilots, then you have a different set of problems. You are competing for people's time, attention, and money against the other recreational opportunities that they have in your area. Now, that might be the country club or the tennis club. It might be boating or yachting. It might be skiing. It's whatever these folks and their friends and their associates are doing. It could be golfing. It could be scuba diving. There's a lot of toys on the market, like motorcycles, that take people's time and money. Harley Davidson is a really good example of this. If you know somebody who owns a Harley Davidson, you should ask them about the marketing that Harley Davidson does. They have a Harley owners group, which keeps people in a community with like-minded folks. They have publications that they send with great stories about great motorcycle rides to take. These are the kinds of things that you need to be doing as well if you are competing for the same demographics. You need to be telling great stories, and you need to be making that repeated contact. Now, it's not going to be as expensive as you might think, but you do need to target the right buyers or the right students, be at the right place at the right time, because you certainly don't want to be wasting your time or your money. You need to make sure that the information that you're providing via these channels is useful, and you want to make sure that the marketing that you're doing is memorable. And the best way to do all that is to tell great stories. And we have a great system that provides you a very unique platform for telling the stories about your particular flight school and building that credibility and building those relationships. These are sales statistics from results.com, and they've been pretty widely publicized, so you may have seen them before. The last line says 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. Now, in our experience, very few flight schools will make any attempt to contact a prospect past the second or third time, if that. But in our experience, it's also true that not only are 80% of sales made on the 5th to 12th contact, actually in aviation and in flight training, it can be the 15th to 20th contact. Now, why is that the case? Number one, there's a really high degree of trust that's needed for flight training. And number two, it's a huge commitment of time and for some people of money. It's not a lot of money to some of your recreational pilots possibly, but for your career-oriented pilots, it certainly is. And you don't want people who have made this decision on a whim to come out and take a discovery flight on a Saturday. You want people who have really thought this through and spent their time and consulted with the other folks in their life and are really committed. Those are the ones that are going to complete the program and are going to be successful and tell other folks about your flight school. So how do you make this affordable? The only way to do it is to have a system that supports repeated contact in a systematic way. Now we put together a system for you that provides phase one, which is getting attention, and that's what most people do very well. But it adds phase two, which is building credibility and conversion over a long period of time through a series of systematic contacts. And phase three is resales, recaptures, and referrals. As we mentioned, a lot of flight schools don't do so well on phase two and phase three. If that's you, then this system is really for you. If you want some help in automating and pinpointing where best to pinpoint those resources and to make sure that these things happen in the best possible way. Now this is a picture of the same marketing funnel, except that this person is spending 90% of their marketing money on phase one, which is getting attention, as you remember. An alternative to that is having a fatter, longer funnel, or at least having it fatter for a longer time in that funnel, where you spend 50% of your marketing money on phase one and then another 50% in phase two and phase three. Now, why is that important? Well, we're going to tell you a tale of two flight schools. Now, neither one of these is actually real. They're kind of a conglomerate of our experience in consulting with flight schools. The main thing, or the main reason you want to keep that funnel wide as it goes through phase two and phase three is because you need to deliver content over a long period of time to build relationships to lead to those kind of sales. And by content, what we mean is things like stories of destinations. We want tutorials of different factors of flight training, little bits of information that show people what it's really like at your flight school. You want a little bit of humor and some of the human elements, stories about your instructors and about your students. And you want really great articles and video. Now, it takes a pretty powerful platform to allow you to put all of this content in ways that reach people at the right place at the right time, meaning on a website that's actually being found for flight students in your area who are looking, or prospective flight students in your area who are looking, and also the social media where people hang out. And you want to be not just putting content out there for whoever shows up. You want to actually be systematically targeting the right demographics, and that's what makes the difference. You might say, well, I already have a website, or I already have a Facebook page. That's like saying you already have a telephone or you already have a fax machine. Just having those things doesn't mean that you're using them properly. It's a baseline for doing business these days to have a website, and it's becoming a baseline to have a Facebook page or a Twitter account. But just having those things as you know, if you've spent any time on them, some of the material and the content on those things are really, really shallow and not helpful, and not targeted. So that's where our system really helps. So the first story I'm going to tell you is Random Ray's flight school. Random Ray spends 90% of his marketing money on phase one. He has he doesn't really think about marketing all that much unless and until he runs out of students. Once he sees that calendar start to have some blank spots on it, he becomes a real easy target for the next advertising salesperson for the Yellow Pages, or for a radio station that is offering to do a live remote at his location, or for someone from Groupon who says, let's put together a really, really cheap deal, because if we bring students in the door, it doesn't matter if you lose money on your first opportunity with these folks. A lot of them are going to turn around and become students. Now the problem with that is, these kinds of events may bring a lot of people in the door, but they are not necessarily the right people. They may be people who didn't have anything to do that Saturday, or who really like the radio station, or who thought that a discovery flight would be fun, but they really don't have any interest in pursuing flight training. Also, you have all these people milling around in your facility, and you've got your flight instructors out there doing their best. A lot of folks, or a lot of flight instructors, don't have the sales training to really engage in the right conversations with the right people, to kind of pre-qualify these folks and to get the contact information that they need in order to follow up with them effectively. So, they don't want to look too serious. They don't want to be taking notes. They don't want to be, they're trying to be casual in this environment. And a lot of them are really uncomfortable with sales, and that's a difficulty as well. So the shortcomings with Random Ray's business model are that it's a feast or famine method. He's either got too many people or too few people in his door at any given time. He has lots of unqualified leads, and he has no money left over in his marketing system for follow-up or referral programs. Now, Systematic Sam's flight school is different. Systematic Sam spends 50% of his marketing money on phase one, and he allocates the other 50%, between phase two and phase three. Now, the way that he does that is he doesn't do expensive remotes. He doesn't have as large of an ad in the Yellow Pages. Maybe he is not doing free discovery flights by pay-per-click advertising and things like that. He is having a long-term systematic approach. He uses search engine optimization to bring people to his website. He uses social media in a smart way. He may use some low-cost print advertising, like like postcards that are targeted to the right people. He may do some magazine ads or email broadcasts, or trade shows, or career fairs. But every one of Systematic Sam's advertising efforts is geared towards getting people into this system, where Systematic Sam follows up with a phase two and a phase three that delivers bits of material over time. And we call this sometimes drip marketing, or ABCI is a pioneer in what we call long cycle marketing, that's really designed for the long haul of keeping in contact with people during the 2 weeks to 4 months that it takes for them to get all their ducks lined up, get their financing, get their schedule cleared, and all of the things that they need to do before they can become a dedicated flight student. And even after someone becomes a student, you're still selling. You are still making sure they're happy with the program. You're doing satisfaction surveys. You are asking them to bring their friends in the door for the program, and you're asking them to come back for recurrent training and other kinds of things, because a lot of aviation companies get 50% or more of their revenue from repeat sales. And if you are not, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Or if you're leaving that to random chance, you're leaving a lot of money to random chance. You really should have a system for that. Systematic SAMs also uses social media and groups and forums and other online media in a very smart way. They connect with local groups, local forums, associations and other places where their prospective students are likely to hang out. And they're putting those great stories on Facebook where their competitors are putting some really shallow, silly material on Facebook. Like our Facebook page for a free iPad. Things like that where you're getting non-targeted, non-specific people participating. Everything that Systematic Sam does is geared toward getting more students. Systematic Sam also has a referral program where if any of his students bring someone in the door, they both get rewarded for that. Again, he's got 50% of his money left over in his marketing system. So that allows him to do some fun things with the referral program. So there are 6 secrets to sales success. 1 is to coordinate your efforts into a system. 2 is to spend 50% of your marketing budget on phases 2 and 3. 3 is to be at the right place at the right time. 4 is to make sure that the information you deliver is useful to people wanting to make a decision. Number 5 is to be memorable. Make sure that they remember what you said by telling those great stories. And number 6 is to have an outstanding tagline or an elevator speech. Be able to explain to people very easily what is the difference between your flight school and all of the others that they could be attending, and what is the difference between your offering and the military or buying a motorcycle or any of those other things, and have good answers for those kinds of questions that are in people's minds whether they ask them or not.
Pilots are people, customers are people too. And building relationships takes time, just like Dan said. You can't expect instant relationships or instant gratification from sales, marketing, PR, any of these types of things. They're all based on people getting to know each other and learning more about each other. And if there are 3 words I want you to remember when you go home, it's tell good stories. All the rest of the stuff that we've been talking about is about channels, containers for those stories. Facebook is a container, your website is a container, you have hopefully a newsletter at your place. That's just a container. Nobody would read this unless it had good stories and useful information in there. Same thing with your website, same thing with your Facebook page, same thing with your Twitter account, same thing with pretty much any publication that you put out. And as a flight school, we're dealing in publications. We're all publishing companies. That's what we do, is we communicate information, we disseminate knowledge. So, we put out, we put our textbooks in the hands of people. We also need to extend that education and that relationship and that process into our marketing. So there shouldn't be a hard line between, here's sales over here, and here's instruction over here. We put a lot of instruction in our marketing and a lot of marketing in our instruction. So, or at least we advise our clients to do that. This is Paula Williams, and I'm here with Dave Santo of Aerostar. And Dave has been a client with us for just a couple of months and just getting started with us. So, Dave, I wanted to ask you, you had some concerns about marketing before you hired ABCI. What were those concerns?
Well, Paula, thanks for allowing me to come here and talk a little bit about the successes that we've experienced working with you. My biggest concern as a business owner was return on investment. Marketing has always seemed like a soft or an untangible asset that you couldn't really put a dollar sign on, and it was hard for me to spend the money without understanding how is this going to benefit the bottom line.
Right. Yeah, getting those dollars back is not always as easy to track as it should be. And I know, we went through a lot of discussions about that. And what finally made up your mind about that, or finally assuaged that concern for you?
Well, there was a couple things, Paula. Number one, you had done a drip marketing campaign to us for some time, and frankly, we had ignored it. We had really been looking at it behind the scenes, and we were impressed that you were specialized in our industry, in the aviation industry, and that you were consistent without being a electronic stalker, I guess. You were very consistent and thorough and didn't give up on us. The other thing that I think really impressed me about you, we downloaded your ebook, I read your ebook, and it just made sense. Being kind of a reader, I then went out to Amazon.com and bought your book, Aviation Marketing in the New World. And it really helped me to understand just how organized your plan is, the process by which you are going to take on our marketing effort. But the biggest and the final thing that really sold me on ABCI and working with you and your team, Paula, is that you took the time to listen to us before you suggested solutions. Other marketing agencies that we had talked to didn't understand aviation. Clearly they didn't understand our lingo. And they started to suggest solutions to problems without listening to our unique issues. You took the time to listen, and I think that's really brilliant of you, and kudos to you and your team, because then you diagnosed our problems correctly. That time you spent allowed you to make a targeted marketing plan for us that we are now executing on. Then, as we were presented the actual marketing plan, we could see where our marketing dollars were going to go. And you presented us with measurable, tangible results. No other marketing company had done that. They had sold us or tried to sell us on these very soft skills and soft results. You were very clear on, hey, there's all these different things that are out there for marketing companies to use. We think the best ones for you are these. We think that you need to stay away from these others because the dollars and cents aren't there yet. And you've really helped us to be very laser focused on our clients, on our industry.
Right. And then we've just started to get some results back. Just started to get some leads rolling in and some improved traffic on your website. And so is that meeting your expectations at this point?
Well, we had put a 90-day goal internally to track the progress of how the marketing effort is going. And one of the things we were looking for was the launch of a new website. We had a website and it was working for us, but you showed us how to look up online the ranking of our site, basically a way to measure the success of that site. You worked very closely with our web designer to launch a new site. And one of our goals was to come from a placement of about 7 millionth, being Google, I guess, is number one. We were down around the 7 million. Within 60 days, you've brought our website already up to under 2 million in ranking. That's a huge, to go from the 7 millionth percentile to the 2 millionth percentile. I think we're closing the gap on Google pretty fast.
Well, I don't know that we'll ever beat Google, but we certainly will beat 1 million, I think, within the 90-day window that we're looking at. So, yeah, and I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you.
It's decision time. If you've received this video in the mail, then understand that means that ABCI is actively seeking a client at your airport, and we will work with only one. You've seen and read our philosophy and our methods. You've seen the basics of our program. You've heard from our clients and heard about the results that they have gotten. If you do what you've always done, then of course you'll get the results that you've always gotten. But if you'd like to make an improvement, then you have a unique opportunity. We have many programs and they're all scalable, from the smallest mom and pop shop to the largest enterprise. All you need to decide right now is this: do you want to be the flight school at your airport that has exclusive access to these powerful tools and systems? If so, then find the order form in your package, fill it out, and fax it in today. We look forward to working with you.